Hi, everyone. Welcome, friends of the planet. It is Zoe here, and I'm so excited to be joined by Ellen Jakowski, who is the Chief Impact Officer and Head of Sustainable Impact at HP, and with Linda Walker, who is the Senior Director of Corporate Engagement for Forests at World Wildlife Fund. And we are going to talk about their extended partnership ahead of COP26. Linda and Ellen, it is so great to have both of you with us today.
Thanks for having us, Zoe.
Thanks. Yeah, great to be here.
So to jump right in, we are so excited to help you all announce this partnership extension between World Wildlife Fund and HP. Could you tell us a little bit about how this partnership came about many years ago and let us know what makes World Wildlife Fund and HP a great team to conserve and restore forests?
Sure. Well, thanks for the question, Zoe. So our partnership with WWF goes back a very long time. They're obviously, as an organization, one of the leading scientific environmental organizations. They have, many experts that we rely on, including Linda, who's here with us today. And we really look to WWF and the science, the research, the studies they produce, and the impact opportunities that they also offer to really help us achieve our mission at HP. And our aim is to become the most sustainable and just technology company in the world, which is a pretty big deal. So to do that, we certainly can't do that alone. We need to bring in the right expertise and partners, those that have very similar values and approaches and respect for the science, as well as the holistic approach that we know is needed. So what we're announcing is an expansion on our existing partnership. It's an $80 million partnership, so pretty big deal. And it's focused on restoring, protecting, and improving the management of nearly 1 million acres of forest landscape. And so, how big is that? That's approximately 5 times the size of New York City. So we're thrilled to be working with WWF to help us make this a reality.
As you said, and WWF and HP started working together more than 10 years ago, originally on responsible sourcing for HP branded papers through our Global Forest and Trade Network. And after HP made incredible progress on that front, responsible sourcing for paper and packaging, we agreed together on the importance of this concept of going beyond sourcing to look at ways that HP could address some additional forest impacts associated with the downstream consumer use phase of the printers, namely the paper used for printing. So 2 years ago, we expanded our collaboration to include some on-the-ground work in Brazil and China that's having some really significant impacts to address the forest footprint of non-HP branded papers through its printers through 2024. And that work, again, has been going incredibly well despite some COVID challenges. And today we're so excited to be announcing the expansion again of that collaboration because it really, to us, signals HP's continued leadership in this space, taking responsibility for its forest impacts, not just in its upstream supply chain, but downstream as well.
It's great to hear that you have such a long-standing partnership. So in your press release, the World Wildlife Fund CEO said, and I love this quote, "To truly solve the dual climate and nature crises, we need companies to go even further than their immediate supply chains." And I would love to know from both of you why you think it's so important that companies take action both inside and outside their supply chains to fight these climate issues.
From the HP point of view, again, we need to think holistically. Several years ago, we achieved zero deforestation for HP branded paper and our packaging. Wow. So when you buy a ream of HP paper, you can know that that is being produced in a way that is not impacting deforestation. The opportunity that we have now is to really go beyond our own supply chain, go beyond our own footprint to take care of non-HP branded paper and packaging. And that's what we're doing with this new partnership expansion. It's really, again, just not only leveraging the power of what we can control, but hoping to be a force within the industry. And that's one of the reasons why, as part of this, we've created the HP Sustainable Forest Collaborative, which aims to bring industry partners, some of the largest players in the paper industry, together with experts like WWF to affect this change across the industry.
From my perspective on your question, frankly, it's in their own best interests. If companies just focus on their own supply chain, it's critically important, but it's not necessarily going to help their business grow and thrive tomorrow or next year or 5 years from now. We think it's critical for companies to think about what is the ways that their business might touch nature or touch forests, and what are the actions they can take to sustain those forests for their own business resilience. We're at a critical time for our planet. WWF released last year its annual Living Planet report that showed that since 1970, the species that we've been tracking over time almost 70% of them have declined, along with a lot of the other critical environmental parameters that we've been measuring. We all need to think about ways that we can scale up our actions for forests, for nature, for climate, and for people. We're in this decade that's also the critical for us to take climate action. We have an opportunity and an urgency like never before for companies to be part of that solution to complement the equally important efforts that governments and other stakeholders need to make to save our planet and save our future.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. A lot of emphasis gets put on individual citizens to do things to help the environment, but it's really up to these larger corporations to really do their part because they're the ones who have the most impact. So I love that there's such an emphasis on that with this initiative. Ellen, you mentioned that HP has an initiative called the Sustainable Forest Collaborative. Could you explain this initiative and a little bit about how it works?
Sure. So as I mentioned, our aim is to, of course, begin with what we can control and, look for ways to change what we're doing to ensure that we've got increased sustainability and we're aiming towards all of the ambitious 2030 sustainable impact goals that we've set. Forests being a critical part of what we're doing. HP, of course, makes printers. Printers use paper. And so we have an inextricable relationship with forests. But again, we need to think beyond what we control. Like, I live in Northern California. The wildfires are all summer that started so much earlier and raged so much harder than ever before. We're seeing this wherever you live around the world. People are being impacted right now by climate change. So as Linda just said, now is the moment to engage, to do something, to take action and to accelerate actions towards a sustainable future for all. So, when we were thinking about this, that's why we started thinking beyond what we control and created this HP Sustainable Forest Collaborative. So we've invited, again, some of the biggest players in the paper industry, as well as some NGO experts like WWF to join. And with that, we aim to change the industry, to drive towards more certified papers like FSC, to ensure forest regeneration. That includes protection, restoration, and responsible management, and really focusing on the key carbon sink areas of forestry around the world, looking at the science and making sure our investments match. So this forest collaborative is really important to us because, again, it's about leveraging our power, not just with what we control, but to help change the industry for better for everyone.
I love that. That's so great to hear and such an interesting initiative from, like you said, a paper and printing company. So Linda, I'm going to kick it off to you. World Wildlife Fund has always emphasized the importance of nature-based solutions when dealing with biodiversity and conservation issues. And those are things that we cover a lot in Our Daily Planet. How, in your opinion, does this partnership with HP further that mission? And how do you hope to make an impact at COP26?
Well, we were super excited about this collaboration because it really sets a new high bar for corporate investments in nature-based solutions. You hear a lot about the concept of nature-based solutions for climate mitigation, and there's a lot of focus on quantifying carbon benefits of nature-based solutions. But the reason we're so excited about this collaboration with HP is that we've agreed that with the support from HP, we are going to look together at nature-based solutions that look to sort of balance and optimize benefits in critical forest landscapes around the world. Benefits for nature, biodiversity, for water, for people, and yes, for global climate. I mean, we want to be able to quantify the carbon benefits, the nature benefits, and other benefits of these actions. And I think HP really, as Ellen mentioned, understands the science that goes into identifying which landscapes and the planning within those landscapes and which nature-based solutions might be opportunities for companies to invest in, like forest protection, restoration, or improved management, in ways that can complement the other activities that our colleagues on the ground are implementing, and really understanding the complexity, the time, the consultation, the social safeguards, the listening that goes into building out these landscape projects in a way that is inclusive, is respectful, and allows us to make sure that these nature-based investments that HP and others are supporting, the benefits of them are sustained into the future. Nature-based solutions, especially for forests, we believe are such a win-win because when you take action for forests, you're taking action for water quality, you're taking action for stabilizing the soil, you're taking action for wildlife habitat, for all the benefits that forests provide for people, for climate, and our planet. So at COP, we intend as WWF to highlight the urgency of the issue. We intend to push for greater commitments, for higher level of ambition by companies, by governments, the type of level of ambition that HP is showing here, but also to celebrate commitments like this, celebrate leadership, celebrate solutions that give us hope that we can tackle these climate crises and the dual crises of climate and nature that we're facing.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like a big undertaking for sure. But like you said, critical and necessary work. And it's so great to hear that you have strength in numbers with World Wildlife Fund and HP. And hopefully, like you said, lots of other companies will follow suit. So to sort of close out, a few weeks ago, we spoke with the video game developer Unity about why it's so important that technology companies get involved in climate action. Obviously, this is in a similar vein. So I would love to know from both of you why you think it's important that HP is stepping up to the plate with World Wildlife Fund to face these climate issues, and what do you hope to inspire within the tech industry?
Yeah, well, from our point of view, again, time is of the essence. We know this. We are feeling this personally and, around the world where we operate. Our customers are feeling that they're knocking on our door looking for what solutions we offer to help them reach their climate goals. So there's not a minute to waste, and it's time for action. So I think it's so important to find experts who can help you achieve the goals that you have. And that's exactly what we've done with WWF. We really couldn't have the impact that we're aiming to without their expertise and their resources. This is a race to the top for everyone, every organization, every community, every individual. This isn't a bad competition. It's a good competition where we all need to work together, even with our fiercest competitors, to try to change the industries that we're in, to make them more sustainable, to lower our carbon footprints, to create a regenerative and circular economy. And that's exactly what we intend to do. And thank you so much, Linda, to you and the team at WWF who are making it possible for us.
Well, thank you, Ellen, for your leadership and HP's leadership in this space. You were asking the question about tech companies. I like to say that every business is in the forest business because every business relies in forests in some way, either for the products they source or the enormous environmental ecological services that forests provide. So we're excited about this collaboration with HP because it's an example of a company that's not traditionally thought of as a forest products company, taking leadership, enormous action for forest and paving the way, hopefully, and inspiring others to do the same.
I love that. That is so exciting. And it's so great to hear again that you have such a successful partnership and that it's continuing to change industries, like you said, across all areas, because climate issues are so intersectional with other issues in other industries.
I think HP and WWF really share a commitment to thinking about sustainability issues in a really integrated way. As Ellen was saying, not siloed, not climate issues, forest issues, people issues, water issues. They're so integrated. And HP is one of the companies we've seen that has best integrated its sustainability goals into its business goals. So I think that's really critical and hopefully an example that can show other companies of the business value of taking more action for forests. But also, as Ellen was saying, HP has really embraced the science that goes into our efforts, not only the science of identifying what's the optimal nature-based solutions, but also the science that informed the calculations behind this commitment. So I think HP's willingness to take the time to understand the science and embrace it as a way to inform our work together is really something I really think we can be proud of in this collaboration.
Another great example, Linda, of why we need to work together, why we need your expertise. So
sounds like the integrated model is really what everyone needs to do. You can say, hey, we're donating money. You can say we're recycling in our offices, but really bringing it full circle, you have to look inside and outside of your supply chains because everything that you do touches a climate issue.
Yeah.
Linda and Ellen, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today. We are so excited to be a part of your announcement. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zoe.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Zoe. Thanks, Ellen.